In 1920, author and historian H.G. Wells wrote, "Human history becomes more and more a race between education and catastrophe. A race between education and catastrophe. A race between education and catastrophe." At the University of Denver's Institute for the Study of Israel in the Middle East, the marathon is on to educate students, the Denver community, this nation, and societies beyond about crucial issues affecting Israel and its place in the region and the world. At the core of ISMA is the position that Israel cannot be studied in isolation from its neighbors, and the Institute contributes tremendously to the crucial interconnectedness of Israel. Hosted on the DU campus by the Graduate School of International Studies, one of the world's most prestigious schools of this discipline, ISMA is a unique think tank in the true sense of the word unique. Nowhere else in the United States is there an embedded university center devoted to the internal and regional issues confronting Israel and its place in the Middle East. A group of highly committed people has worked diligently since ISMA was founded in 2000 to make this unique center a tremendous resource locally and globally. They support and endorse ISMA's exceptional ability to address subjective and often volatile issues from its objective academic position at the University of Denver.
A little over 4 years ago, Chancellor Ritchie called me, and I met with him, and he asked me if I'd be willing to put together a board for an institute at DU that would be involved in Israel and the area around Israel in the Middle East, and I answered yes immediately.
ISMA is a very unique institution. It is one of the only institutions connected to a university of DU's caliber outside of Israel that has a focus on Israel and her relationship with her neighbors. This focus is extremely important and frankly is not embraced by many other universities outside of Israel.
Within a year of ISMA's formation, the unspeakable happened. In a matter of hours, on September 11, 2001, ISMA and the university were propelled into the national media spotlight. Those involved with ISMA, either as faculty or as members of the board, never could have imagined the vital educational role ISMA would play following the events of 9/11.
When 9/11 occurred, it was a time when the world recognized we weren't free of terrorism. And the interest in the people in our whole world was directed at what's going on in the Middle East. And we found out that no one is free of terrorism. And we found out that it's important that we be understanding, we Americans be understanding of what goes on in that part of the world. Fortunately, at an unfortunate time in our history, very, very unfortunate time in our history, came along a professor by the name of Shaul Gabay, and he became the executive director or the director of the Institute, and we have taken off dramatically.
ISMA Director Shaul Gabay, considered one of the leading experts on the Middle East and its social networks, provided over 60 major media interviews in the weeks following 9/11 to a nation desperate for information about the Middle East. In the years that followed, Professor Gabay and ISMA continued to be a vital point of reference when major events happened in this critical and volatile region. A number of key factors have contributed to the growing international attention on this very special educational center.
As an academic institute, we have the advantage of being able to reach to networks, to decision makers, to policy makers, diplomats, people who are related and important in decision making about Israel in the Middle East, which other organizations do not have. For example, when I met even with the president of Israel, he was interested to hear about the interviews which I had with Palestinian decision makers, because he himself doesn't have the access that I had as an academic. A great example, which was in my mind when I took this position of the director of ISMA, is the peace agreement which was reached between Israelis and Palestinians for the first time, and which was facilitated by a non-for-profit organization and academic context in Norway. At that time, Israelis and Palestinians were prohibited from discussing issues with each other by law, by the Israeli law. Israelis could not meet with formal Palestinian officials. It was only in the context of an academic institute which enabled the discussions about scenarios which have to do with possible peace between Israelis and Palestinians, and which then brought or paved the way for Israelis and Palestinians, the leadership, to go ahead and use these scenarios in the context of secret negotiations in Oslo, in this academic institute, and go forward with the first peace agreement between Israelis and Palestinians. Today, for example, it is impossible to have Israelis and Syrians discuss issues, but as an academic institute here situated in the United States, we can still invite academics from Syria, for example, from Yemen, from Saudi Arabia, in a very non-political context and discuss possibilities of peace.
Every day, every week, every month, ISMA brings the world community together to educate, challenge, and enlighten. These efforts have developed strong ties between the university, the broader Denver community, and the nation to Israel and its neighbors. ISMA hosts permanent and visiting scholars and policymakers from Israel, the Middle East, and other parts of the world.
And they are not necessarily representing all the Palestinian people or the Palestinian Authority. Basically, my thoughts represent my feeling.
I see a hope for peace in Israel, especially now. Now it's the time, and now something begins after Arafat passed away.
We come to suffer both evils. The evil that it was inside Iraq, which is the biggest evil of Saddam Hussein himself.
Getting together the local government teams throughout Iraq for all of Fifth Corps, how to put the military teams in order, in place to work with the civilians. That we started getting
the spiritual expansiveness of the seeker breaks down in the face of hard political reality.
Both Arab and Israeli professors teach classes to GSIS students and to students of other disciplines on the DU campus. The Institute develops faculty and student relationships with Israeli and other Middle Eastern institutions and provides research opportunities for Israeli, Middle Eastern, and American students. At ISMA assemblies, professionals gather from different backgrounds to address critical policy issues and develop consensus. Research associates focus on critical Middle Eastern issues and disseminate findings through numerous publications. On a local level, students from regional high schools attend workshops developed by ISMA to bring awareness of Israel and the Middle East to those who will face these issues head-on in the very near future.
I became involved in ISMA because I really wanted to educate myself about the social, political, economic, and cultural issues that exist in Israel and that exist in Israel's relationship with its neighbors. And ISMA has offered me more opportunities to gain this education than I could possibly take advantage of.
While the state of affairs is unstable, the mission of ISMA is unwavering. The scholarly pursuits of ISMA are directed wholly toward peace, prosperity, and understanding for Israel and its neighbors.
With what's transpired since the passing of Arafat, there's an opportunity that we've all been dreaming about, that peace can come to that part of the world. So with hope and prayer and more institutes like this around the world, there's a better understanding. And somehow, some way, people to people and not politicians working together could have a lasting peace between Israel and Palestinians and the entire region. And I think the prayer that all of us have had over these years may be coming to fruition.
Just feel better, and I have hope that the conflict will have a peaceful resolution.
Indeed, ISMA is a hopeful and vigorous participant in humanity's race between education and catastrophe. For peace to emerge, education must triumph. Education must triumph.